So you are very welcome back to this video, and in today's one we're going to go through the only email marketing guide for e-commerce brands in 2024. Trust me, this is absolutely all you need to know. So let's kind of dive into why this actually matters. Why is email marketing so important for e-commerce brands, especially in 2024 and as time goes on? Right, the first point is that advertising costs are only going to be getting higher, and a lot of brands are kind of a slave to Meta and Google Ads. And as that customer acquisition cost is going to continue rising, it's more and more important that brands are now putting in effort to elongate the customer lifetime and obviously increase the customer lifetime value of each customer who comes into the system. So the second point is look, today's consumers expect highly personalized experiences, not just some cookie cutter approaches. And again, the e-commerce market is becoming highly competitive and saturated, making it harder and harder for brands to stand out. Now, the question is, how do you actually make sure that your email marketing strategy is bulletproof in 2024? Now, before we kind of get on to the next slide, I want to really stress that this is like the most important things that you should really be focused on for your e-commerce brand. Of course, there's probably a few additional bells and whistles that you can add to your strategy, but if you really want to bulletproof it in 2024, these are kind of the things that you need to be focusing on. And the first step of that is list growth. If you've been watching some of my videos up until now, you've probably heard me bang on about list growth over and over and over again. But it is by far the most important aspect of your entire strategy, because if you can speed up your list growth, that is going to improve absolutely everything throughout your email marketing strategy. More leads into your system means more eyeballs, means more potential customers, of course, provided that the lead quality is high, and you're not, getting those leads from buying other people's like email list or doing any sort of dodgy kind of tactics to increase your list growth. So how can you actually do that? Number one is setting up pop-up forms. Number two is setting up embedded forms. Three is landing pages, and four is SMS subscription links. Now, again, if you're familiar with email marketing for e-commerce, you probably know by now what a pop-up form is. Probably might know what an embedded form is. If you don't know what an embedded form is, that is literally the form at the bottom on the footer of the website where you can collect some emails. Landing pages isn't really used by a whole bunch of brands, but what you can do here is set up a landing page on your website, have an embedded form on that, and then drive traffic from social media. So it could be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok to this landing page where you can start collecting some emails. And finally, SMS subscription links. This generally only works as of recording in the US and Canada, but you can set up an SMS subscription link in Klaviyo, and obviously that will bring customers straight to their messages on their mobile phone. So it's a really nice way of growing a list. Now, list growth is oxygen for your email marketing strategy. If you nail this, it will make life so much easier for you if you're running your own brand or you're doing email marketing for clients. You should really aim to see about 5 to 10% of website visitors into your email list, and test variations of your pop-up until you reach this range. You should always be testing the pop-up form or any form of list growth that you're running. Now, next step here is deliverability. And if you don't know what deliverability is, it refers to the ability of your emails to land in someone's inbox. There's a few practices which you should abide by, and that, first of all, is technical practices. Second of all, is behavioral practices. So the technical practices are setting up a branded sending domain, setting up a DMARC policy, which isn't done in your email service provider like Klaviyo or SendLane. So you have to do this in your DNS records. So if you have bought a domain from, let's say, GoDaddy, you would do this within GoDaddy by adding some DNS records. Thirdly, as well, make sure that the email sender name matches the domain name. I'm still seeing a lot of e-commerce brands do this, and it can have some negative effects from that, especially since Gmail and Yahoo brought in those new sender requirements back in February. So what I mean by this is, let's say you are sending emails for Nike. You'll want to make sure that the sender name is Nike, and obviously that matches the domain at Nike.com. You don't want to be sending emails from John and then the domain name being at Nike.com or emails at Nike.com. You need to make sure that they're matching. Now onto the behavioral practices. Keeping images below 200 kilobytes. You don't want to put very heavy image file sizes into your emails. It slows the load speed, which means that, like, customers these days are very, very impatient. They don't really have, I suppose, the longest attention span, partly due to, we can thank TikTok for that, and short form content. But you'd want to make sure that obviously you're just keeping them nice and small, just so they load quicker, and obviously that you're not, including those high file sizes or heavy file sizes, because that will cause your emails to bounce. Limiting the number of links in your emails. I know sometimes this might be hard, but try to make an effort to keep your links to a minimum, ideally under 3 links per email. Avoiding excessive caps or capitalization and exclamations. I have a bit of trouble kind of pronouncing that. And obviously, finally, I see a lot of brands not doing this, is making sure to exclude segments who have bounced, who have unsubscribed, marked as spam, who are suppressed, and obviously who have purchased recently as well. The last one is key, because like the last thing you probably want, if you go and purchase from a brand, for example, you might buy a t-shirt, you don't want to be seeing an email from that brand, 2 days later saying like, here's, I don't know, a 20% discount. You're kind of kicking yourself then, because you're like, oh, I should have waited to buy something. And that you might feel like not really as appreciated because you're kind of being sold to straight away. So depends on the brand that you're running, or if you're doing email marketing for, but try to exclude people who've purchased recently. Leave them go down that post-purchase flow, and leave them go down that natural customer journey after they've made a purchase. You don't really want to be bombarding these customers straight after they've just ordered from your brand. You don't want to be annoying them too much. Now, next we're going on to flows, right? So essential automated flows include welcome series, abandoned cart, post-purchase, win-back sequences. These obviously nurture leads and customers through personalized triggered messages. So we'll have a look here at our pre-purchase flows. So there's a list of our pre-purchase flows here, and we have our post-purchase flows as well. It's really, really important to try and understand the customer journey here, and understand how someone goes from a pre-purchase to a post-purchase, and what the goal of each flow is. Now, I won't go into every single flow here and explain what it does. I have loads of videos on this channel that probably explain this in a bit more detail. But if you want, screenshot this and try and implement these for either your clients or your own brand as well. Now, when building your email flows, it's really, really important to know, number one, what is the strategy behind the flow? Why do we set it up this way? What is the goal behind that? And that kind of leads me on to my second one. What is the goal behind every flow? What are we trying to achieve? So for the welcome series, essentially at the end of the day, we're trying to get that customer to convert. But beyond that, we're also trying to show off a bit about, maybe customer reviews, testimonials, social proof, the story behind the brand, because people love hearing about the story behind the brand, the people behind it, behind the scenes content, how the product is made. You can kind of make this up for your own brand and kind of imagine how that would work, but try and show the personal side behind your brand as well. People really, really love that. Now, the flows aside, we're on to our campaigns. Like, what I don't really see a lot of people talking about on YouTube or across social media is how to actually create a campaign calendar. Because it's all well and good saying, look, I want to send 10 to 12 to 20 campaigns a month. What the hell are you actually supposed to put in there, right? So what we use internally for our own agencies, we have these kind of sets of questions, and starts off with like, look, is there any repeatable campaigns for this client or for this brand that we can do? Is that a newsletter let's say, for example, every Sunday? Is it a podcast? Does the client have a podcast, or does your brand have a podcast that you put out maybe weekly or monthly? Is there something repeatable that we can put out every week or every month? I say this to a lot of brands that we talk to, that this type of content actually tends to perform really, really well. It's kind of strange, because sometimes these emails might be a bit word heavy if they're a newsletter and they're educational, or if it's a podcast email, they might be a bit word heavy. But from my experience, what I find is it's just the expectation of this email coming, let's say, every Sunday or every Monday or whatever that is. The customer is expecting that to come into the inbox, and if the content is good, they're going to read that. They're going to engage with it. So try to think for your own brand or for your own clients, is there anything that we can actually, add in here that's repeatable? Step 2 then, as well, is having a look at what campaigns have performed well over the last 30 to 90 days and rework these. The way we see marginal gains on our campaigns for all of our clients is we will literally do this, have a look at the top performing campaigns over this period, and we'll probably take out any sales that were over that like period, because sales are obviously like they're going to perform well. So taking that out of consideration, let's say we had a supplement and we were testing at a certain angle. Maybe it was that the supplement is helping people with focus. We would essentially take that top performing campaign and try to spin another angle off that. And it's constantly spinning another angle, spinning another angle, spinning another angle, and keep going until you see dips in performance, or else, on the other hand, increases in performance, because things like angles can always be improved. And if you're not really sure what an angle is just essentially a way of attacking the copy in like using a certain benefit, for example. So going back to a supplement example I was just talking about, if you have a supplement that may help with focus, it may also help with sleep as well. They're two different angles. So you have the focus on one hand and you have sleep on the other. So there are two different angles that you can play with. And you can also A/B test this as well to see which angle is working better. Thirdly, as well, is what evergreen campaigns can I use, if any? So evergreen campaigns, generally speaking, will be customer reviews, busting myths, so myths in the industry. Another example could be us versus them, so showing why your brand or your client's brand is better than competitors. That's examples of evergreen content. It can be used at any time and generally performs really, really well. And number 4 is, did the client mention, again, this is for our own internal use, but did the client mention that they want to send out any specific campaigns? This only really applies, of course, if you are dealing with clients, but if you're running your own e-commerce brand, is there anything that is seasonal coming up for you? For example, if you are running a brand who sells, let's say, golf products, is there any Open coming up? Is there any golf championship coming up that you can spin an angle off and get a bit of seasonality going from your campaigns through that? Number 5 then is, are there any promotions / product launches coming up? Obviously, that is very important to know, and you want to make sure that you have a sequence of emails set up for that, and you obviously want to block that out of the calendar. Now we're on to campaign segments. This is massive downfall, even surprisingly from some 7 and 8 figure brands that I've audited, that they just haven't really nailed the segmentation. Now, segmentation can be, it's kind of like, it's overhyped, to be fair, for some brands, especially for smaller brands. If you have a smaller brand, like a smaller list, generally speaking, you'll only want to contact like mainly your engaged customers, but obviously your buyers and non-buyers as well. But like once you've asked yourself, obviously, what campaigns you want to send the emails to, you'll want to obviously break down, who you're actually sending those to, right? So remember, the core segments of customers who will be receiving the campaigns throughout the month, they are the engaged customers, buyers, non-buyers, VIPs, and lapsed customers, or like win-back opportunities. The question here really is like, what do you actually send to these customers? So we have these like five segments here, our 5 core segments. What the hell do we actually send these customers, right? Now, we'll start off with engaged customers. The bulk of your sending is going to be going to these. And generally speaking, the content that they're going to receive is promotions, product-based emails, review campaigns, educational campaigns, newsletters. It's generally going to be the bulk of your content, right? Now, moving on to buyers, these customers already know the product and the brand, right? They've literally already gotten the product before. They've probably tried it out. So you're probably wasting your time showing these customers, reviews, testimonials, showing off like, this is what our customers have to say. Like, they are customers. So hopefully they'll probably like the product. So campaigns for this segment would include product-based campaigns, educational campaigns, SMS push campaigns as well, to get them into the SMS list. I don't mean sending an SMS campaign. I mean sending an email, trying to get them into the SMS list. You'll also want to send these buyer segments surveys as well to see what they think about the brand. Is there any improvements that we can make? UGC requests and blog style emails as well. So there are a few ideas that you can use for your own brand or for your clients. Now we're on to the non-buyers, right? So these subscribers need convincing. Look, after all, they've given you the email, but for whatever reason, they just haven't made the purchase. They haven't, trusted the brand enough to pull out their credit card details. So for these customers, you need to build that trust through review showcasing, showing why your brand is better than competitors, the us versus them, which we spoke about a while ago, educational content about products, behind the scenes / formulation processes if you're running a supplement brand, product-based campaigns highlighting the benefits they can expect to receive from the product. Now, just need to take a sip of my coffee before I continue. So we're on to now the VIP customers. So this will totally depend on what you classify a VIP as for your brand. Generally, we'll see clients or brands saying that a VIP is someone who has purchased maybe over 3 times or maybe over 5 times. Just like it totally depends on the sales cycle of your brand. Now, generally, these customers will be contacted for early access to sales, product launches, and they need to get first dibs before everyone else because they need to be treated like royalty because obviously they're such a loyal customer. Other campaigns for this segment would include VIP only promotions. The key here really is making sure that the VIPs are treated like royalty. They're treated with exclusivity and they feel that your brand is acknowledging the fact that they are so loyal to your brand. Last but not least, I think, is lapsed customers, right? So these customers have purchased from the brand, but they've not returned in quite some time for whatever reason. Probably because they didn't like the product, or else they just didn't like it enough to come back a second time. So your job with these campaigns is again to regain the trust of those customers. So show them new products that have arrived since they last made a purchase. Showcase the benefits of consistent use of your products. If this is personal care or a health product, for example, again, a supplement brand, or if it's a skincare brand, you'll always want to be showcasing the benefits of consistent use because you might get, let's say, CBD is a very common one where customers might come once and they mightn't come again because they haven't used the product correctly. Now, this will actually tie into how you prime customers in that post-purchase sequence and showcasing like how the product is best used and the importance of consistency and showcasing a timeline in when they can experience those benefits. But again, you can do this in campaigns for lapsed customers as well. Finally, as well as making plain text emails from the founder, asking the customer why they haven't returned in such a long time. I actually got an email from another brand recently, which did something very similar, and it actually nearly provoked me to make a response, to give the brand a response. Key here is really trying to get some qualitative feedback from these customers and make sure that you're trying to obviously get them to come back. Now, we're on to kind of optimal send times here, and this is relating to campaigns. Generally speaking, early morning between 7 to 10 a.m., evening between 5 and 11 p.m. But the key here really is to test and optimize. Always test to try and find the optimal send time for your audience. Generally speaking, like the time of day that you're going to send an email at isn't like the biggest influence of conversions of opens, because like if you're sending good enough content on a consistent basis, customers will want to open your emails anyway, kind of regardless of what time of day it's being sent at. But of course, send time does have some form of influence over sales, conversions, etc. Now, if you have if you have an email list of over 10,000 people, you should be able to use the smart sending feature in Klaviyo I need to take another sip of coffee here, to find your optimal send time. So if you run an e-commerce brand and you're looking for a loyal customer base to drive repeat purchases with our advanced SMS, subscription, and loyalty strategies, click the link in the description to book a call with me and let's have a chat. Hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully you probably laughing there at my croaky voice from the coffee. But if you would like to take a look, or for us to take a look at your email marketing strategies, do click the link in the description down below, and I hope you found this video useful. Catch you on the next one.